Hey guys, I am starting a series of videos over here at EC Functional Wellness. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about thyroid stuff. Lots of stuff regarding thyroid. So today is the first day, and so today we're going to talk about thyroid symptoms and why you might be taking a thyroid medication, thyroid replacement hormone, and maybe you've been doing it for many years, and now all of a sudden you're feeling those thyroid symptoms coming back or getting worse, and what that's all about. So, my name's Alyssa Cohen, and I am a functional diagnostic health coach. So I help women who struggle with weight they can't seem to lose, fatigue, digestive issues, irregular periods, things like that. And I help them get to the root cause of their symptoms, regain their energy, have even moods, regular digestion, things like that, so that they can really live the life that they want to live. And I really help them transform their lives by transforming their health. So let's get to it. First, we're going to talk about a little bit about the thyroid gland and what it is. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about thyroid and things like that, but so this is my whiteboard in my house. This is the little drawing that my brother drew like a year and a half ago with Toothbrush Man. I don't know why he drew it, but it really makes me laugh, so I didn't want to erase it, so he just stays there. So Toothbrush Man is joining us today. But this is my little thyroid gland here. So this is in, this is like your trachea. This is in the front of your throat. Right here. So this is where the thyroid gland lives, and it's responsible for a ton of things in our body. So every tissue in our body has thyroid hormone receptors. So we can imagine that the thyroid hormones and the thyroid gland are super important to our body and our overall health. So the thyroid gland is responsible for body temperature, heart rate, digestion, controlling your metabolism, controlling your production of protein. So, yes. Oh, mirror filming. Who said that? How do I do that? I do realize that everything is flipped backwards, but I don't know how to do that. I'll learn about it. But for today, we're just gonna hang with it, and you're gonna read everything backwards, and then I'll learn about mirror filming or what that's about. So anyway, so when your hormone is not producing as much thyroid hormone as it is supposed to, then you're gonna get symptoms like fatigue, feeling cold. We call this hypothyroidism, so like low thyroid function. We can also have hyperthyroidism or high thyroid function, but we don't see that as often, so we're not going to talk about that today. But so when our thyroid function is low, we will see things like fatigue, feeling cold, so cold hands and feet. This is something that I had for many years. I would have to wear gloves if it was like 60 degrees out, and my fingertips would turn white, so like Raynaud's syndrome. Had that. High cholesterol. If you go to the doctor and they tell you your cholesterol is high, that might be because of thyroid stuff. You might have dry skin and dry hair. You might have irregular periods, so maybe your cycle is really long, maybe it's really short, maybe you skip cycles, maybe one is really long and one is really short, or they're really heavy, any of this stuff. Then also muscle and joint pain. So muscle pain, joint pain, these things can be confused as fibromyalgia sometimes. Sometimes fibromyalgia can be misdiagnosed and it's actually a thyroid issue. So these are lots of things that you might experience. Depression, memory issues are in there too, infertility, thinning of the outer thirds of your eyebrows. Your eyebrows, I learned, do kind of just thin with age, but if especially that outer third is thin, that's a thyroid symptom. Slow heart rate is another one. Yeah, so if you're having any of these symptoms, it might be a thyroid condition. There's lots of other symptoms as this can look like too, and so it can kind of be confusing to differentiate, but here's the thing. If you have had these symptoms for a really long time and you go to your doctor and tell them that you're having these symptoms, they're going to test your TSH generally. And that's a very limited scope of the way that our thyroid is functioning, but B, when you go to your doctor and test for anything, when you test anything, they're looking for a disease state. So they're looking at the entire population, and they're comparing you to the entire population, and they're looking for your lab ranges to fall within this normal range, which normal range kind of encompasses like 90% of population. And if you lie outside of that 90% range, then you have a disease. But maybe you're having thyroid symptoms, but you're not quite in that disease range, that like way outer edge, but maybe you're like not quite normal, or you're not optimal, but you're not in the disease state. We call that like subclinical hypothyroidism, or any symptom that you're having is subclinical. So we don't want to just be not disease, we want to be optimal. We want to be functioning as best as we can. So that's why it can be difficult for your doctor to diagnose some of these things sometimes, and that's where looking at things from a functional perspective and seeing a functional practitioner can be a good idea, so that we can have you functioning optimally, not just not in a disease state. So maybe you were in a disease state. Maybe your doctor did feel like you had hypothyroidism, and so they put you on thyroid replacement. Maybe you're on Synthroid, levothyroxine. And you've been on that for a few years, and things are ticking along, you're doing okay. But suddenly, those thyroid symptoms start to come back. Well, there's a reason for this. There's something called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So this is an autoimmune condition. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this before. So an autoimmune condition means that the immune system in our body is attacking our tissues, essentially. So our immune system intends to do good and kill pathogens and invaders and things like that, but there's miscommunication. Instead of attacking pathogens, it attacks our own tissue, so thyroid and things like that. And so when our thyroid is attacking our own tissue, over time it can start to break down that gland, break down the thyroid gland. So 80 to 90% of people who exhibit hypothyroid symptoms it's actually from Hashimoto's, so that autoimmune condition, autoimmune process. So it's not actually a dysfunction of the thyroid gland, it's more of a dysfunction of the immune system. And of those 80 to 90% of people who have Hashimoto's, 7 out of 8 of them are women. So this autoimmune stuff and the autoimmune thyroid stuff is going to be a lot more common for women than it is for men. So that's why it seems to be such an epidemic. And like I said, it's not necessarily an issue with the thyroid gland, it's more of an issue of the immune system. And so if we're just replacing the thyroid hormone, we're not addressing the root cause. And so because the immune system is attacking, essentially, for lack of a better word, the thyroid gland is going to degrade over time. And so you might have been good on X level of hormone replacement for however many years, but as the immune system continued to attack your thyroid gland and degraded it, it's going to need more support years down the road unless we stop that attack on the thyroid gland and put that autoimmune process into remission. We can't necessarily cure it or anything like that, but we can stop the progression. And there's lots of things that contribute to the autoimmunity aspect of things. So there's gut health, our genetics are a small component, so if you have a family history of any sort of autoimmune condition, you're more at risk, definitely. But gut health plays a factor, stress, external stress, blood sugar balance. So all of these things, if we're not addressing these things, the autoimmune process is going to continue, and so the thyroid hormone replacement is not sufficient. So we're going to get into more of that stuff later, like what's the root cause and what do we do about it and things like that. But for today, know that if you are taking thyroid hormone replacement and you're not seeing the results that you like, maybe that means there's something else deeper going on and something else deeper that might be worth looking into. It can be really frustrating to go through this and feel like you can't get to the root cause of it, but know that other people are struggling with the exact same thing. So I would love for you to comment below if you have hypothyroid symptoms and your doctor has told you that nothing's wrong with you, because that can be super frustrating. Or if you are taking thyroid hormone replacement and you are starting to feel thyroid symptoms pop up again, because that can be super frustrating. And so again, it's nice to know that other people are experiencing this also. In the future, I'm going to talk about the testing that would be good for you to do in order to really not diagnose, well, a doctor can diagnose this, but get to the root cause and figure out how your thyroid is functioning and if it is functioning optimally. We're going to talk about foods that you can eat to support your thyroid. We're going to start talking about how to get to the root cause and how to, where do you start working. We're going to talk about the connection between the thyroid gland and the adrenals. Yeah, so if you know of somebody that could benefit from this information, I would love for you to share this video, because I know that this is a hot spot, a trigger spot, I don't know, for lots of people. A lot of people struggle with this, and so share the video. And again, comment below if you struggle with hypothyroid symptoms and your doctor has told you that there's nothing wrong, or if you are on thyroid replacement and you're slowly starting to get those symptoms back again, and what you have done about it. So I'd love to hear, and share the video, and thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week talking about more thyroid stuff, and maybe I'll figure out how to make this not backwards. Alright, okay, bye.